Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host, and I got to do that again. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. We're going to first play a piece that we did this morning on tariffs because apparently there are folks that are still having some problems with tariffs. So, understanding it. So I did a piece, I cleaned it up, and I'm going to do it this afternoon. We also have a piece on a declining Donald Trump. And of course, we talk about, if we get to it, AI, fighting AI. Is that what it is? We'll talk about that. Anyhow, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. In the main chat, we've got El Senor Michael Rudnin, who started off again from Brooklyn, New York. Patrick Magner from Houston, Texas. We also have Paul Fleming in from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have Eric from Kingwood, Atascocita, Texas. Gene Deigel. I think Gene is from down the road on we're not 249. I know where you're from. Geigel. I haven't said it out, so I forgot it for a bit. Joe from Los Angeles, California, is in the house. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let's see what else have we got here on the chat in Substack. Don, welcome aboard. Hirut Kidain Miriam, welcome aboard. Brandon Misler, Mike, Jan B. Lady Historian says Apple last update fixed 50 vulnerabilities, and CISA has been reporting industrial controls vulnerabilities in recent weeks, like 18 in one notice affecting stuff like civil infrastructure. Armanda Barnett, welcome aboard. Angie Decadence, I love that name. Decadence, Decadence, Decadence. All right, we also have Linda Lillard. We also have Carol Blankmeyer, Michael Fisher, Arlene Fucillo, Marie McQueen. Welcome aboard. Thank you for being here. Gene Deigel says tariffs, aka import tax, the same thing that led the Boston Tea Party. I hear you, brother. I hear you. Well, you know what I didn't get? I need to go ahead and populate with the pieces that I'm going to play today. And I don't have it installed yet. Come on, PDR files. Let's get the PDR files. We got that one. We got that one. Those are the two that we're talking about. Let's open that baby. And I think we're in. Okay. Bruce Potter from Kingwood, Texas is in the house. He said, made it today. Well, I thank you for being here, brother. I broke my knee. Oh, you're going to have to call me and tell me a little bit about that, Joe. What happened to your knee? How did you break your knee? Is it a serious break? Are you in a cast? We care about our folks, man. Let me know what's going on, girl. Let me know what's going on. Okay, Brother Rudnin already put in his request. Housing first is the correct approach to address homelessness. Let me go ahead and okay, I'll tell you what, Rudnin, I'll go ahead and play that first before I get into my programming. Okay, I will play it first because it's Michael Rudnin. All right, let's get busy. All right, let's go ahead and do that. All right, and I see, let's do it now. Let's get that off. Let's go ahead and do it now.
Not going to get the attention it deserves because the dumpster fire vending There's breaking news out this morning that is not going to get the attention it deserves, because the dumpster fire vending machine that is the Trump administration can't stop pumping out salacious headlines. But 5 years from now, if unaddressed, this story is the one that's going to be sticking with us, because the New York Times just got their hands on a 100-page document from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. This document's expected to be released to the public in the next couple of days, and when it does, it will be a multi-billion-dollar bomb on the housing market. Now, I'm particularly close to this because I worked in housing and finance for 8 years, and I led a grant committee for a major nonprofit for the better part of a decade that helped allocate millions of dollars to housing and financial education programs. Now, essentially what we're talking about here is the value of housing first. This is a data-backed philosophy that says when a person is given housing before any other treatment, it becomes significantly more likely to successfully address other challenges like addiction and mental illness, leaving them in a better place to ultimately get back on their feet and live an independent life if health permits. But just like with the Trump attacks on Medicaid, the Trump administration's position is that you have to first fix yourself before you're entitled to help. The policy is so bad that last month 20 House Republicans co-signed a letter that was published to Politico where they begged the Trump administration not to make these cuts for calendar year 2026. In this letter, they said that these changes should be implemented carefully to avoid destabilizing programs that serve individuals with severe disabilities related to mental illness, chronic health conditions, or substance use disorders, in addition to seniors with disabilities. In that letter, these 20 Republicans warned that severe cuts to this program for 2026 could result in almost 200,000 people being pushed out onto the street in 1 year. But these Republicans forgot that with Trump, the cruelty is always the point. Because in the notice that was published in the New York Times today, Trump wants to cut $2 billion from Housing First programs, a full 2/3 of the budget. And those cuts would take effect in January, less than 2 months from now, to a program that has been the North Star for housing since 2009. Now, normally cuts this size would have to go through Congress, but they're getting around this because they aren't actually cutting the $2 billion. They're reallocating it from Housing First programs to sobriety and mental health programs. And these programs kick people out after 2 years. Essentially, what the Trump administration is telling people is you have to get healthy and sober on your own in order to earn the right to housing assistance, and then after 2 years you're pushed back out into the world with the expectation that nothing ever goes wrong again. Now, if this sounds malicious and doomed to fail, yes, exactly. Because this policy was effectively written for the Trump administration by the Cicero Institute, a far-right think tank led by a billionaire who just happened to co-found Palantir with Peter Thiel. Now, you can look up the Cicero Institute on your own, but I can guarantee you nothing good comes from them. Put a very fine point on it. The lobbyist from the Cicero Institute said Housing First expects too much of people by assuming everyone was ready for housing. Ready for housing? What's the alternative to housing? Prison? Yes, prison. Because while with one hand Trump's policies defund housing programs, with the other he's criminalizing homelessness across the country, effectively funneling homeless people into prison while funneling billions of dollars away from nonprofits, social workers, nurses, and doctors, and the developers and landlords that support these Housing First programs, and directly into the prison system, which costs billions more and does nothing to help people live a better life. Now, if this all sounds terrible to you, correct. But there is something you can do. You can share this far and wide because public awareness does matter, and you can visit endhomelessness.org so you can learn more about the organizations that are suing to stop these things from becoming a reality. And of course, vote for Housing First Progressives for Congress, so starting 1 year from now, we can put this trash behind us for good.
Wow, that is...
Thank you for coming. We want to have you guys on. It's veteran.
That is actually sad. Thank you for bringing that, Michael. I had not read that article in the New York Times. Now it forces me to go research on that. That is really bad. Welcome aboard, lady historian, RJ Sanders, Lynette. We also have someone to call and put their name from Lynn Mad. Lynn Mad, hi from Georgia. Thank you for being here, Lynn Mad. Pamela, welcome aboard as well. It's criminal. You're right, Lynn. It's criminal. All right, let me go ahead and see what else I've got in the chat here before I play the first video. Let's see. Patrick says knee injuries are very painful. I'm sorry to hear about that. You went through that, Joe. I am so sorry, Joe. I broke my knee. So unhappy. I want to know how, of course, Joe. I talked. Bruce said this is look. I want you to listen to this statement Bruce just put in here. He put, I talked with someone who is moving out of state, meaning moving out of Texas, to get Medicaid for his autistic children. You see what's happening there? These low cost states, beggar states, exporting their sick to more humane states, blue states, that care about humanity. And they have the nerve to talk about uh, they believe in the sanctity of life. What hogwash. What hogwash. What else have we got here? Let's see. E2247. Hey, Kristen Noem, Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Hey, Todd Lyons, Director of U.S. Immigration, in his official capacity. Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Same applies to Marcus Charles, Acting Executive Associate. Thank you for putting that in U2247. Of course, I imagine there's some more context to that I probably missed on the inside, but you're so right. Gene Daigle says cruelty is always a point with Trump and his entire troglodyte cabinet. Cruelty is Trump's MO. Exactly. Exactly right. Our Yvette Avery Herod is in the house. Welcome, Yvette. Vadavra Wills, welcome aboard, my friend. Let's go ahead and talk tariffs, folks. Uh, you know, I still do not believe Donald Trump is paying the price for what tariffs are doing to our economy. And I think it is something that has to occur. Until that occurs, well, I tell you what, let me just go ahead and play the explanation and then we'll take it on the other side. I got to move things sort of around right here. Let's do that now. If he provides a $2,000 payback for the tariffs, in effect, he's saying, I am lying because he told you that you are not paying for the tariff, right? He said you are not paying for the tariff, but he's saying he's going to give you $2,000 for the money he took away from you for the tariff. Wow.
Oh, that's carrot on stick.
It makes no sense, right? If the tariff is not affecting you, if you are not paying for the tariff, then that $2,000, what is it for again? I mean, look, it's the thing about it is there are those that are cultish and there are those that are willfully ignorant. And those have to be the followers of Donald Trump. You have to want to believe, no matter what the evidence is, no matter what the truth is, to be able to follow this guy. And then you really have to ask yourself, underneath all of that, what is the real reason? And unfortunately, the real reason why one continues to follow this guy after you know about this guy, it's a sad reason. Unfortunately, it's a sad reason that began from the inception of this country. But anyhow, here we go. Last night, I said, you know what? I'm going to write an entire blog post for to answer the question. And of course, I'm not going to just read verbatim. I have to add to it. But anyway, the title of the blog that I wrote at midnight is Trump's Tariffs Lie Exposed, How His Trade War Became a Massive Tax on Every American. Folks, I want you to listen in. So again, the title is going to be Trump's Tariffs Lie Exposed, How His Trade War Became a Massive Tax on Every American. An examination of modern tariff politics reveals a simple truth. Tariffs are taxes paid not by foreign governments, not by overseas manufacturers, but directly by American importers and ultimately by every single consumer who buys the product that fills the nation's shelves. While Donald Trump insists that China and other countries pay tariffs, the lived reality for working families tells a different story. Higher prices, strained budgets, and an economy weighed down by policies that echo the catastrophic mistakes of the past. Let me just tell you one other thing, right? When you have a big, there's 100% tariffs there was 100% tariff on China. And people got all flustered. Oh, that means the prices in Walmart's going to double. If the tariff increased by 50%, a T-shirt that you're paying $5 for is going to cost $10. Let me tell you the dirty little secret. You know why you didn't get a lot of, or how should I put this? The tariffs has a way of exposing what many companies in a capitalist society do. Check this out. I want to do some quick numbers for you. If you have a T-shirt that costs $5 in Walmart, how much do you think Walmart paid for that T-shirt? There is a good possibility that T-shirt, and I want you to stay with me with this math. It's simple math, but I want to show you the deception. The tariffs gives the average American citizen an opportunity, if they want to think things through, to see how ripped off they are. Because that $5 t-shirt may have costed that Walmart store 50 cents, okay? That $5 t-shirt that Walmart is selling, they may have bought it from China at 50 cents. 100% tariff on China on that t-shirt that you're paying $5 on will not make that t-shirt go to $10. In other words, 100% of $5 would make that t-shirt cost $10. Instead, it will only increase the price the Walmart pays by 50 cents. Or rather, by 50 cents. Because they originally paid 50 cents for that t-shirt. Now they're going to pay $1 for that t-shirt. So technically speaking, if they just applied the tariff in the Walmart store for what that 100% tariff, that goes from that goes from $5 to $5.50. Still a high increase, right? Still a 10% increase, but not 100% increase. What that means, however, is when you start to look at the price increases that Walmart charges, etc., you're going to get to a sad reality. Walmart may have been swindling you all along, because something that they paid 50 cents for, they were selling it to you 10 times the amount they bought it for, because you're an American and because that is what corporations do. Okay? So in the backside, Trump knew that. Trump is like, look, we buy stuff from China dirt cheap. So even if I put 100% tariff on China, because the markup that American companies put on all these things from China, it's not going to look as bad as it sounds. And then I'm going to look good because guess what? The tariff isn't as high as it looked, and it's going to make it seem like I'm telling you some truth when that $5 t-shirt doesn't go to $10. But what this does is it shows you the complicity between Trump's tariffs and the capitalist oligarchy. Because what is happening again? Because you get to realize that all these companies are swindling you. Okay, let's continue. Economists have long understood tariffs as a direct levy on domestic businesses that purchase foreign goods. The government charges the importer upon products entry into the country. The importer then passes the added cost of the chain to wholesalers, retailers, and finally, the American consumer. Every economist, along with mainstream analysts across the ideological spectrum, recognizes this devastating but straightforward mechanism. When tariffs rise, prices rise. It is that straightforward. Remember that $5 stuff that I told you about? Do you think Walmart is going to raise that price by just 50 cents? No, they won't do that, because right then and there, they're going to say, oh, I'm selling out my price point. I'm letting every American know how much I'm ripping them off. So more than likely, they'll tell two stories. They'll increase by more than the 50 cents, but also they'll tell you, we're going to eat some of the tariff costs. In effect, they're doing neither. And in effect, their profit margin has just increased. I mean, the scourge of what actually occurs is phenomenal. Now, history offers an unforgiving lesson. The infamous Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930 stands as one of the most consequential economic blunders in American history. Passed in the wake of the 1929 market crash, it significantly raised import duties on thousands of products. Instead of protecting American industries, it triggered retaliatory tariffs from other nations and helped freeze international trade. The decline in global commerce deepened and prolonged the Great Depression, turning a severe downturn into a near catastrophic collapse. Tariffs did not save American jobs, they destroyed them. And guess what we're seeing right now? Right now, your Führer is not releasing job data. They claim it's because of the shutdown. No, the shutdown is a good excuse for them to have an excuse not to release the lousy employment data that is occurring right now. The modern right and Trump in particular choose to ignore this history. Trump's repeated claim that China is paying for tariffs is not just misleading, it's a lie. It is a deliberate lie meant to mask the regressive nature
of his economic agenda. We are a country that believes in progressive taxes. The more you make, the more taxes you can afford to pay, and you are responsible for why, as a high income person, you do put more stress on the whole economic fabric. As a high earner, every high earner progressively add more stress to the economic strata. Foreign governments do not write checks to the US Treasury. American companies do. And those companies adjust their prices to cover their increased costs. The result is an invisible national sales tax disproportionately borne by working class Americans. Okay? Think about it. It is a tax on all of us. But later I'm going to tell you why that tax is so dangerous and terrible. This means Trump's tariffs are massive. It's a massive hidden tax on every American family, imposed without a debate in Congress, imposed without your choice, without transparency, without honesty. The America First rhetoric wrapped around the policy serves only to disguise the reality that working people subsidize false nationalism, and the wealthy and corporate sectors enjoy new protections and inflated profits. An economic vision demands clarity. If you want a society that really works for everybody, you got to be clear about it. Tariffs must be understood for what they are. Regressive taxes. What are regressive taxes? Taxes that affect those that make the least the most. Progressive taxes say we tax more for those who earn more. As this nation confronts rising inequality, shrinking wages, and monopolistic consolidation, policies that increase consumer costs and burden households are the last thing working families need. Trump's tariff myth must be exposed. Americans deserve an economy built on truth and fairness, and the shared prosperity, not one on shared prosperity, not one grounded in deceit and economic self-harm. Let me tell you, folks, the saddest thing I saw was a joke on Comedy Central. When one of the stars went out into where everybody's at and asked the question, who pays the tariffs? And you had some MAGA sympathizers ready to fight to defend tariffs of being good and not being a tax on them. So what this guy did was to bring an economist along and walk him through the chain of what occurs. Product comes to America. A tariff is applied. The supplier pays the United States government the tariff on the product. The product then goes to the store, but the importer has to recover that money it gave to the government for the tariff. So it increased the price of the product equivalent to the tariff it paid to the person who bought it from the importer. And that person who bought it from the importer increased the price that he sells it to the reseller. And that reseller increased the price that he sells it to the consumer because, again, his costs were higher. And he wants to continue driving or paying the note on the car or his mortgage. His mortgage prices didn't drop. So his profit margin has to stay up to speed with it. It's not rocket science. It's simple. It's not rocket science. This is simple stuff that all of us should know. One of the reasons Donald Trump all along has realized that telling a lie over and over again without pushback, without solid pushback that isn't condescending, that allows people to bring their walls down and try to understand with the mind that they were given. That solves the issue. But what we do is we give Donald Trump plausibility. From Trump's jump onto the scene, from the media right back, they used him. They used him to make money on your backs. They used him because his lies were profitable for a lot of companies. They used him because having such a dishonest thug in the White House means everything was up for purchase. That's why Zuckerberg is now his friend. That's why Bill Gates is now his friend. That's why all these billionaires are now his friends, because they can get whatever they need to make sure that their shareholders, not you, the American people, are well taken care.
Absolutely. They make sure that they're taken care of. not you. They're taken care of, not you. Anyway, folks, telephone number 281-823-7747. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to make a comment? 281-823-7747. I'm going to hold on for about a minute to see if anybody wants to comment on the tariff issue, and then I'm going to go to the other video because, again, want to make sure to kind of get on time and keep everything moving smoothly. Una vez más lo voy a repetir. 281-823-7747. 281-823-7747. All right, let's go ahead and, well, I said I was going to wait a minute, so I will wait a minute. You know, when I think about how great one used to think about this country and where we've been now, and to watch that it's all that the destruction is self-imposed. I mean, it is why we have to get on the ball. It is why we must get on the ball. Okay, since no calls have come in, I'm going to go to the other video, and then we'll take it on the other side. Donald Trump is wounded. Donald Trump is in bad shape, both in the polls, in bad shape for the state of the economy. And the problem is none of this can be fixed in any form, because what he has done is he has changed the economy in such a manner that coming back ain't gotta be easy. Anyhow, I want you to listen to this part from Morning Joe, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Look at everything that's going right now. I mean, when it rains, it pours, and it's really pouring politically on the White House right now. You can look at the 36% approval rating of the latest AP poll. Right track, wrong track, sitting around 33%. Only 1 in 3 Americans think the country's going in the right direction. 2 out of 3 think the country's going in the wrong direction. And here's this AP approval poll. 62% disapproving. This is record lows for the president this term, and it's approaching his record lows for the last term. You also look at other polls showing only 33% of Americans agree with how the president is running the federal government. Only 33% of Americans agree on how the president is running the economy. Only 34%. Hello, Democrats. Pay attention, Democrats. Only 34% of Americans agree with the president and how he's running healthcare. And he's even at 15 percentage points upside down on immigration, because, again, the heinous scenes that we're seeing of children once again being ripped from their mother's arms, teachers being ripped out of schools that they're teaching. And all of this is a toxic mix. And then you add on top of it the Epstein issues, and it feeds into something that you wrote about a couple of days ago. And you actually wrote about this before the latest news broke on Jeffrey Epstein. And that's talking about Donald Trump, a lamer duck than ever. And you write in part this: beyond the undertones of lost influence, being a lame duck can also suggest a president distracted, disengaged, but biding time. But lame duck also carries with it connotations of diminishing cachet relating to a leader's lost status and creeping powerlessness. Trump and his allies have worked to foster a sense of unquestioned authority and permanence, and they're very successful doing that. Yet Trump has looked much less daunting and invincible in recent days.
So yes, he's even down with Republicans. I mean, that was his buffer. That was his sink. That was that heat sink that had so much heat in it that he would always be able to count on his MAGA base. Well, you know, like we stated for a long time, the people that he has screwed the most aren't the blue liberals, aren't the liberal states. The people that Donald Trump have really screwed is his own. And they are starting to feel it. And those that are not sycophants or gullible or cultists, they're realizing that, no, it's not the Democrats causing their problem. It is Donald Trump.
So Donald Trump is starting to act as a wounded wild animal. And wounded wild animals are dangerous. That's why a distraction is being played in the southern seas, where he wants one to believe that we are about to invade Venezuela. This is the president that came into office saying he doesn't believe in forever wars. But in order to take your mind off of Epstein, in order to take your mind off of a failing economy, in order to take your minds off of the big bad bill that's going to leave people without insurance, he's going to create wars. He's going to spend money that instead could have been spent on your health care. Instead of paying a whole bunch of money for bombs, bringing the largest aircraft carrier into the Caribbean Sea, plus all the supporting ships, the amount of money that he is letting go before he's dropped one bomb. Think about how many people could have gotten health care. Think about that. This is a failed presidency. This is a failed presidency, and we are complicit. Well, those who voted for him are complicit in what's occurring with our country right now. And unfortunately, the recovery ain't going to be easy. The recovery ain't going to be easy. And you know what isn't going to solve it? What isn't going to solve the problem is trying to throw it into the hands of corporations to help us out of it, which is exactly what he's done by weakening the government. Remember, these parasites, that's all they do. That's all they want. We better get smart. It's on us. It's on us. The first part of the job was done as we won across the entire country. The country made that necessary leftward move throughout the country. That's just the beginning. We need a wave 3 times that size in next year, November. And we need to make it that strong that we don't only have a slight lead in Congress, that we have a veto, not a veto proof, a veto returning proof in Congress, which means we can override a presidential veto. That's the kind of win we need in Congress. And that's the kind of win we need in the Senate. We need 60 votes in the Senate. People say that's impossible. Well, things are bad. They are destroying the country. It is proven that MAGA cannot govern. We knew that Republicans couldn't govern, but at least they gave some sort of plausibility that at least they wouldn't crater the country. But MAGA, my God, MAGA has no sense of governing, no sense of economy, no sense of all of these. It is time for you to act. Everybody, from Gen Z right up to baby boomer, right up to the Great Society, all of you have got to act. All of you have got to get these criminals out of office. All of you have got to reclaim what is supposed to be America. And that is what we've got to do. And you know, we started doing it, so it's not like some impossible thing. The No Kings triggered it. No Kings triggered not hope, but a resolve. And that resolve turned into big landslides. And even as many progressives complain about what Democrats did to allow Republicans to reopen the government, I am very cautious in the way in fact, I don't think I've done much criticism of the senators for one particular reason. Nobody that is currently criticizing and telling them to fight more can tell me that they were out there fighting, that they were out there starving, that they were out there paycheck less. So you know where I stand on that. Patrick Magnus says, I have not checked, but a Daily Kos article is titled, Former Wharton Professor Donald Trump was the dumbest goddamn student I ever had. Okay, we don't even need to know if that is a truthful statement, because Donald Trump has already proven that, Mr. Patrick Magner. But by the same token, I'd love to see a link to the article. Text it to me, text that to me. But that is funny.
Let's see. Gene Daigle said, "How did that happen? What happened to all those Doge cuts, or all those tariffs, or all those federal workers being fired under the Doge and the big, beautiful bill only for billionaires?" And ask yourself also, what happened to the extended funds that was to pay SNAP? They found it was gone, is what I understand. I haven't done a complete research on this yet, but apparently Ketanji Brown may have blown the whistle somehow with the reports that she's gotten. I don't know. I that just kind of came across but you have to ask yourself, why aren't people covering and talking about all of these things? Anyway, folks, I think they are having a blackout day. That's funny. Linmed says participate in the economic blackout. Oh, no, that is for Starbucks today. Yeah, that is for Starbucks today. Nobody's supposed to buy coffee at Starbucks today. Everyone took the day off. Well, if you're not going to buy your Starbucks today, maybe you can go ahead and become a paid subscriber of Politics Done Right. Better use here than at Starbucks in the hands of a billionaire, right? Anyway, no, but for real, that would be kind. Okay, what else have we got here? What else have we got here? What else have we got here? We have increased our national debt by $1 trillion in just 71 days. Smoke that, guys. 71 days is equivalent to about 2 months and 10 days. 2 months and 10 days. Look, here's the thing though, Daigle. The deficit and so forth doesn't completely bother me because we have sovereign currency, and we don't even have to do things like devaluing, right? All right, let's go back up and see what else I've got. Anyway, folks, the telephone number is 281-823-7747. Anybody wants to call in? Let me put it in the chat. Call in at what is it? 281. Did I get that right? 281, and that is 823. That is 7747. 281-823-7747. I think I've got it into the chat now. Give me a call. 281-823. Oops, that's wrong what I just put. What did I just put in there? I probably copied that from somebody. An echo. Okay, let's see. I copied that from somebody. Let's go ahead and put that in here. Para ver, vamos con. There you go. And there you go. That's a call number. 281-823-7747. Give me a call before I go to the last subject. All right. Brother Brackens, talk to me.
Yeah, hey Egberto, I tuned in a little late today, but I did definitely saw all of those bad numbers for Donald Trump and his minions. But I wanted to highlight something that I don't know if you had brought attention to, but that Megyn Kelly interview really, really blew me because
oh my God, that was crazy.
And I could definitely speak on this from what I know about the criminal justice system.
I tell you what, why don't you? And I think I know where you're heading with that, so I'm going to let you talk about it. So go ahead.
So yeah, only because Donald Trump is the golden goose that keeps crapping out the eggs. Only because he is who he is, all of a sudden, now his association with Jeff Epstein, who, in other words, they're trying to downplay Jeff Epstein's attraction to young girls, where I couldn't believe my ears when I heard her say, oh, he's only into the barely legal 15-year-old, not the really, really illegal, something like 8-year-old. It's like, it doesn't matter. Where is that Republican spirit that I always hear? You give so much leeway to somebody who is clearly doing something illegal. We're not talking about barely legal. Matter of fact, 15, if you want to be real, that's the age of the young ladies that R. Kelly was being basically convicted for, and they didn't give him any leeway about that. When they talk about R. Kelly, those were children. When they talk about Epstein and Trump, those were children. Don't try to spin it no other way. Those are children. If they're gonna be children for the black pedophile, they gotta be children for the white ones too. We can't have that double standard. I refuse to take that double standard. And Megyn Kelly should be ashamed of herself because she wasn't always on Donald Trump's friend list. Matter of fact, I remember when Donald Trump said she was bleeding or something like, I don't remember. It was some anti-woman statement.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, the way these people bend over backwards with their privates in a knot to try to justify what these people have done and would have probably continued to do had they not been exposed. It's just beyond me, and I'm sick of it.
But,
you heard the person.
Yeah, I heard what Megyn Kelly said, but let me tell you worse about Megyn Kelly. There was a time that we used to look at these people of being the position that they have made them intelligent. We assume they got the position because they are intelligent. There are a lot of things that are happening with a whole lot of these hosts that prove that these guys got there not from their intellect, but from their privilege. Because Megyn was really ignorant to what she was saying. She could not think through different levels of indirection. That's the only reason she could not understand how deep that statement was that she made or how it would go across. But right now we also have Patrick on the line. So hold on, brother. Let's go ahead and get Ray. Let's go ahead and get Patrick some time here. Patrick?
I'm calling about something else, but Ray always has good things to talk about. A little bit different point of view, or not different point of view, but more in-depth look at some of that behavior is, even if it was barely legal or what have you, those were indentured servants.
Yes.
That's not consensual. He was exploiting people that were being exploited, even if it was legal. And I don't think it was. I think that he's a bit of a monster, and he was probably he likes cruelty and he likes hurting people, and he knew that that's probably what he was doing. So yeah, let's say it was barely legal. He was still not doing anything consensual with somebody, and I don't think I've ever been intimate with another person that I didn't care for or want something good for them. And somebody that is going to find somebody that's desperate and then turn them into a sex slave. I mean, okay, she was a barely legal sex slave. This is disgusting. There's nothing.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. The thing about it is, and again, for all the MAGA folks in our chat, the fact that all of this can occur, the fact that he can be associated. Do you remember in the Obama days when they would talk about palling around with terrorists? What about palling around with pedophiles? Palling around with folks that have actually raped American women, right? Think about it. And then to think about any American woman who just hear this story and still believe that they can support this guy. For any guy who supports this guy, my respect for them has, is bordering a negative a million, not even on a positive level, because you cannot support this type of evil to run your country. And if you are one of them propping up somebody like this, I am sorry, you are evil as well. Continue, Patrick.
Yeah, I wonder if those people that that are propping them up were okay with the fake basement in the pizza shop that was Democrats.
Right.
Were they on board with that? No, I mean,
no.
I guess a Republican pedophile is fine, but a Democrat pedophile needs to die. right?
It is always about projection. It is always about projection. If you want to know the bad things that Trump and MAGA has done, all you have to do is listen to what they say and what they accuse progressives and others of, and you know what their sins are. Just listen to what the negative things that they say, and that's their sins. There is some other bad stuff that's floating around in emails. And the thing about it, there are some emails between Epstein and his brother. And some of those emails relative to Donald Trump, if they are true, you want when I won't repeat that because again we're on air. But if some of those emails are true, my God, if there's anybody that comes out and corroborates it, Donald Trump is Nixon. Go ahead, Ray. Oh, I think Ray left. Did Ray leave? I think he left. Patrick, anything you want to say before we go to the other subject?
Well, I did actually want to call about Venezuela, but I
Oh, no,
think
no,
I've
no. Go
gone
ahead.
kind of
No,
far
no, no,
already.
no. Let me hear. No, no. Go ahead. What about Venezuela?
Okay. I'm definitely an anti-war guy, and I'm very concerned about our moves here. And it looks like we're going to start a second proxy war with Russia. And as this happens, we're seeing a shift of power from us having a lot of allies to us having no allies, and places like Venezuela finding allies in people that can actually really do some damage to us. I understand that the GDP is 1/10 of Russia's GDP is 1/10 of ours, but
Probably,
there's also
yeah.
something else to consider. Yeah, there's something else to consider. When Russia builds a $100 bomb, it costs them $100. When we
Right.
build a $100 bomb, it costs taxpayers $5,000 because of the corruption with the billionaires. I don't think that we're going to be able to afford a second proxy war, and I don't think that our standing in the world is going to stand it. We've got people very, very upset over blowing up 50 boats. I am too. There's absolutely no reason for it. It's obviously a grab for oil. We don't start wars with people that don't have resources. I've made the point before that we only seem to have problems with Muslims that have oil under them. You don't ever talk about Muslims from the South Pacific, and that's where most of them live. I mean, we only have a problem with people that have resources underneath them.
Exactly. That is so true.
This is a push. This is a push for empire, and we can't afford it. It's not going to last, and it's going to be another 20-year war that cost us what was it, $4 or $5 trillion for Iraq and Afghanistan. We said that we went into Afghanistan to stop terror. We brought the terror. They became the poorest country in the world, and we're driving that for Venezuela. We've apparently they're assuming that we've killed about 40,000 people from Venezuela through sanctions. That's worse than war.
Let me tell you something, okay? And Americans, I wish, understood politics outside of America. America and the plutocrats in Venezuela created Hugo Chavez. Okay, earlier on, and even a lot of elitist Venezuelans will not agree with me, but let me tell you this, okay? Capitalism created Hugo Chavez because of how it exploited what the country is worth. This is a very rich country, and it should have the highest standard of living in South America. In fact, in the world. And let me just tell a quick story, Patrick, because I think people need to understand this. Venezuela, when Hugo Chavez came into power, it was a positive that he came for. It was that finally the resources of the country was going to belong to the people. In other words, all that oil, they're sitting on top of more oil than any other country in the world. Venezuela is.
They're sitting on a lot of gold, silver, resources up the gazoo. But as usual, the capitalist countries want to exploit it and not have it exploited by those who own it, the Venezuelan masses. So Hugo Chavez comes and he starts the Bolivarian Revolution. And this Bolivarian Revolution was going to make Hugo Chavez, by the way, a brown man of all kind of descents, from white to black to indigenous to everything. He was a true mix, and he would have been a great representative. Hugo Chavez comes out there and he puts, with his charisma, he brings people together. Hugo Chavez was building the United States of South America. You know, that was the ultimate plan, where Brazil, Argentina, Chile, the powerhouses of South America, were going to get together. In fact, oil was so big then that he could finance a lot of stuff throughout South America. And that was a threat because, again, he's sitting on top the largest pool of oil, the largest pool of minerals, and a very productive fauna, flora, you name it. Can have that. You couldn't have a society that said the spoils of your society, of your country, belongs to everybody. Because then Americans will start to ask those questions. Wait a minute. What's going on there in South America? Finally, the spoil. It's the same thing that needs to happen in Africa. What is the things that's going on down there? You mean the people are going to own the resources? And do you actually mean that all those people that got out of poverty in the beginning of the Bolivarian Revolution created by Chavez, do you mean that all that positivity, people owning their own stores, those are the things they didn't tell you about. The belief in free enterprise under La República Socialista de Venezuela, right? Oh, they didn't want that. They don't want you to have collectivism in no fashion, because it means those who exploit the resources of the country. Right here in America, we have enough money that we shouldn't have the poor. We have enough resources that we shouldn't have a poor. All the oil under the land in Colorado, all the oil under the land in Texas, all the oil under the land in Louisiana, Pennsylvania, and everywhere else, North Dakota, South Dakota, should belong to every single American. And yes, the corporations who decided to exploit it, by all means, make a profit and exploited it. But ultimately, the resources and the spoils shouldn't be going to shareholders, but should be going to the coffers of the United States, which would have meant we could educate every citizen. Every citizen could have gone and gotten health care. Every citizen could have gone. All these things were possible. If you take, don't listen to my word. Go and pick the numbers and look at the inequality, the wealth disparity in this country, and spread that money. Instead of being at the 1%, spread that money out. Because remember, the wealthy don't create anything. They're but parasites. They depend on the labor of others. They depend on the resources of others. They depend on the intellect of others. Look and spread that money that all of you here have earned. You have earned it, not them. You have earned it. And all that money we have seeded, all that wealth we have seeded, because we were indoctrinated from birth that somehow capital reigns. That somehow capital reigns. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. We have to uneducate ourselves from what was taught to us about capitalism. We have to uneducate ourselves about what was taught to us about all these different types of economic systems, and learn to create one that works for us. I don't care what the hell you want to call it, but I can tell you one thing. The current economic system that we're practicing right now is working as designed. And it was designed to rape you. It was designed to be extractive and to take from you. It was not designed for those of or for all of us to have equal access to success, equal access to wealth. That is not in the design at all. So folks, we got to wake up. Patrick, sorry for that soliloquy, but you kind of got me there.
Well, I'm glad to hear it every time. And that caller this morning, you had a great call this morning where he asked about the $1 million in the bank. Your answer was beautiful. And I want to also tell you that another thing that Chavez did was he educated all the force so that they could make decisions for themselves, and
Right.
they learned their rights.
Right.
That's the
Thank you for reminding me.
the exact opposite of what's happening here.
But you know what's interesting, right? Because a lot of these people are in dire straits now. And when your belly is empty, and when you wake up in the mornings and you don't have any cause, you turn against everything. And that is how America works around the world. It's you put them in, you make them desperate so that they have to come to you. It's like Cuba. And I look, I am not talking about. I don't have any evangelizing of Castro or anything. I evangelize no leader. But let me just show you one thing. The pressure that the United States has put on Cuba for decade after decade after decade, right? And still, they are tops in medicine. And still, they're tops in all these resources. Because you know what happened under Cuba? They used their most effective resources, and that was human beings. And I know it's misery in Cuba. Don't get me wrong. It's misery in Cuba not because of this not because of the political system they chose. It's misery in Cuba because we as the United States ensured that by boycotting Cuba, by making sure that other countries boycott Cuba, by doing all these things, even under all that duress, they survive. Same thing with Haiti. Haiti, the basket case Haiti, those people can't take care of themselves, forgetting that Haiti, for decades, for 100 years, after Toussaint Louverture uh, freed the country, that they had to pay France over and over again for their freedom. They had to pay France for their freedom. You want to know where the coffers and the monies out of this land went? Back to France. Now we have in Africa all these former French colonies starting to rebel. And we have Donald Trump saying, oh, these are terrorists. Folks, you have to re educate yourself. You have to re educate yourself. That's how we survive. Give me a closer. I got to get out of here, Patrick.
Yeah, I'll give you a closer. Lee asked if I would defend this country. Of course, I defend it, but we're on the offense. There's no defense right now. Nobody's after us. We're after everybody else. We're sabotaging this planet.
Exactly. Thank you, and thank you for calling in, Patrick. You always have some words of wisdom. Likewise, my brother Ray always have some words of wisdom. Thank you for calling. And I'd like more people in the program, if you have the wherewithal to do so, to give us a call. Let me hear your voice. Let me hear what you believe in, what you want. Let me hear if you want me to change subjects or do other things. Love to hear from you. Anyway, folks, please, before I go, I want to ask all of you who have the wherewithal to do so to please become paid subscribers. Please become paid subscribers of our newsletter. That funds everything that we do. As you know, a lot of you have been gracious during our fund drive at KPFT. A lot of you are dual. You do both at KPFT and here. I need a whole lot more here as well. By the way, I want to tell you guys, we did great in the fund drive at KPFT. Thank you. We brought a whole lot of our folks from this online show to KPFT, and you guys performed. I want to thank you from the depths of my heart because we do need community radio, Pacifica Network, and all these. We need to be together in independent media to get things right. It's a must, but we also need to support here as well.
So I want to ask you as kindly as I can to please go ahead and go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, and please consider becoming a paid subscriber today. You will be subsidizing everything that we do, from the blogs that we write all over the place, not just here at egbertowillies.com, politicsdoneright.com, egberto.substack.com, and all these other places, but you are subsidizing absolutely everything that we do. Politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is where you can become a paid subscriber. Share the link and tell folks you know of somebody doing some hard work to move this stuff forward. Help us grow our audience. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Love you all. You can send me emails directly at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.